whereby if you've got a marketing message, right, and you don't know what that message really, which message is going to give you the best impact, you might create 2 different messages and decide if it goes to a subset of users over here and a subset of people here, and you collect metrics back. Okay? This once again is like incremental. You're doing small bits. You're doing iteration. You're getting some feedback in, which is kind of the core principles behind it. Which is once again, we're not sitting behind and saying, oh, we've got all the answers. We're putting it into the marketplace. We're trying to get some real feedback, and we're building incrementally and making changes. These are the same things that we can do at a society level, at a social level.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
If you like, maybe we can share the name in the Netherlands. There's a professor in communication at the University of Amsterdam. Now she's retired.
Okay.
Don't ask me why professor in communication creates such a title. I don't know. But it's a small book about Agile in the world of marketing communication. So if you're in the marketing communication industry, it's in English available. You can find it on the web.
All of these things, I mean, we've all got access to the internet, right? If you just type into Google, you see so many different examples of how it's being used out there. Flag. So my mentor, good friend and trainer, Joe Justice, the guy who created Scrum at Hardware and Extreme Manufacturing, he, at the height of the economic recession, he was invited down to the European Union, and they asked him, well, how can you help us with the economic problems that we're having? Agile, okay, and how we work in small iterations and we minimize our risk, and we'll work in this type of way. And then what happened was the delegate from Norway stood up and said, that's the problem. Basically what they turned around and said is, at the moment, the way that we work is we fund businesses. So we will tell a business, come with a 5-year plan, and we'll fund them, okay? But the problem, what's the problem with a 5-year plan? It's outdated, right? The minute you go out, it's outdated, right? Things are constantly changing rapidly, which also is why I think that Ghana and West Africa, we're in a great place right now because technology is changing, right, really rapidly. The cost of technology for individuals is significantly lower, right? So that gives us a platform whereby we can actually now start competing on a global scale, right? So you turn around and say, well, in that case, we're saying up to fair because we're giving you how many millions to go away, right? With your 5-year plan, and you're going to come back in 5 years' time, and money's gone, your idea is obsolete, it's no good. So what they decided there and then is they're going to write into, and it's currently being passed through, is going to write into European law, into their legislation, that actually any business that needs to get funded by the European Union must come with an agile type plan. They have to demonstrate that they're working in iterations. So what they would do, what they're expecting them to do is to come and say, okay, here's what we're going to do for the next 2 months. Okay, fine, we will fund you for your next 2 months of work. When you come back and you demonstrate where you are, or where you're going, or what angle you're taking, then we will reinvest more money in you, okay? Because once again, what they're doing is they're cutting and minimizing their risk. And they're minimizing expenditure. But also in that way, they're increasing the ability of that company to go away and actually succeed. When I was in the States as well, I was fortunate. You heard Ken talk about it. I met somebody who was from the Department of Defense in the US, and they was telling me how the Obama administration had passed into law that basically any IT contractors in regards to working with the government had to demonstrate that they're agile for that reason, okay? When I was in Washington, I met the governor of Washington, and he was talking about how their whole government is set up to work in an agile way. They will only work with people who work in an agile way. They're setting up their HR, they're setting up all their internal departments as agile, using an agile type structure, and any vendors and suppliers that they're working with, they're also working in that way. It's around the world are actually moving towards it. In the UK, there's a big drive right now at the government level for everything that they're doing to be an agile project. I've been involved in a couple of those projects, and they spend huge amounts of money. Huge amounts of money. The last project I was on with them was 12.5 billion. Okay? The supplier that I was working with, we ended up saving 10 million and delivering that small segment of the overall project 1 year early. Out of 12.5 billion for one supplier to be able to do that, it's only a small percentage. But it's enough for the people in charge to actually contact the organization and say, thank you, you guys saved us some money and time. Working in a more agile structure. The question is, what is stopping us? And I know that there could be potentially many answers to that question. But we need to start thinking in that way. Okay? We need to start thinking, how can we start bringing an agile mindset into the way that we run our countries, to the way we run our communities, in the way that we run our institutions. Actually, there's another very interesting story around this as well. So there's a bank in Switzerland called the Pict Bank, right? It's a long-standing bank, okay? It holds the finances for the world's richest 0.001%. So the world's richest of the richest, okay? Joe was also invited to come there to speak to them about, well, how should they manage their funds? Where should they be putting their money? Once again, Joe was unable to talk much about the finances side, but he said, look, and he showed the same report that Ken showed, which was a breakdown from the Chaos Cavendish group about how agility, how you get more success with agile type projects than you do with waterfall projects. And the world's richest turned around and said, hang about, so you're telling me that a company that runs itself as an agile company is 3 times likely to be, 3 times likely to be more successful than one that runs a waterfall? They say, yeah. I say, wow, so that means I reduce my risk exposure by about 3 times and increase my possibility of, getting a greater return on investment by 3 times. I say, yeah. So what do you think they turned around and said? They said, okay, from now on, we're going to invest in agile companies. Any company that we're going to invest in must demonstrate that they work in an agile way. That's the world's richest people already investing in it. Now, I don't know about Ghana once again, but I would assume that out of those 0.0 rich people, there might be a few Nigerians. Don't ask me where they got their money from, but I'm sure that there might be. But the question is, look, the reality is our countries are not really poor, okay? The distribution of wealth is not good. We know that, right? But we're not really a poor country, right? It's mismanagement, it's whatever's going on behind it, right? So we need to start thinking. Some of you are young, some of you are, like myself, more mature, okay? But we all can make some form of difference somewhere. It may be a small difference. So eventually we can start having a big change, right? And I'm talking about real change, not just talking about organization. I'm talking about real lasting change. Real change that allows us as Africans to take our rightful place on the international stage and hold ourselves proud, right? We have the money. It's going to take the minds. It's going to take individuals like us to be able to demonstrate. One of the key things you was asking before, how do we do organizational change? One of the key things is sometimes you can talk about anything till you're blue in the face. It takes individuals to step up and show some examples. Even in organizations as part of the agile transformation, sometimes this thing is we have to show some results. Right? Which is fine, people want to see results. But when we show results, we also inspire other people to step up to the plate as well. So we don't even need to be thinking about the billions, first of all. It's just the small stuff that we start doing that can have an impact, that can start making a big difference. Is everyone with me?
That's what you have to overcome. It's called time management, right? Change those step by step.
Problems are there, and problems are actually great. Okay, we can find solutions to them. It's a problem. Okay? Now they're adopting mobile payment in the UK. It's like a unique selling point. It's a convenience. Okay? So we can export ideas. We know that already. We've always known that. Okay? We can export stuff. Right? And now we're in the information age. We have the ability to export idea solutions. We can also build our own communities. Fashion store in the UK. Actually, no, they're from Italy, Spanish, but they basically they're quite international. Do you have Zara in Ghana as yet? I'm sure they'll be coming soon. Okay. Now, one of the big problems in fashion shops like these, especially in the UK, is to produce for each season. So what happens at the end of each season? They have sales because they have to get rid of excess stock. People like me love that. I look out for the sales. You know, isn't it? Yeah. 70% off, that's when I do my shopping, okay? Yeah. Even down to my friends, they know. I say to them, look, if you want a Christmas present, you have to wait till after Christmas, because the day after Christmas is when the sales are on. I'm not going to buy you something before Christmas at full price and then watch it on television at 80% off. No, you wait. Okay? You get your own afterwards. They know me for that, okay? Now basically what they've done is now they use agility to be able to... They're one of the only companies in the world who are doing it. They're disrupting the retail industry right now, okay, using agility. And that basically means for them, they can respond to demand. Oh, the new fashion has come out, great. We can produce this amount. And then we can only produce a small amount, but if we see that it's going very quickly, wow, we can just create more, right? So they're not over-creating stock, they're not hitting the mark. They can just afford to pull a few things out and see which one is going to work. That's having a significant uplift on their business. A lot of other companies are trying to do that, but they're struggling to compete as well. So this shows you another example of how agility is being used in business, in retail, right? To have a big impact. To have a way people do stuff. Let's talk about agile in construction. I think this one will be very interesting as well. Here's a 24-hour McDonald's drive-through. Okay? It's based in the UK. Give me some ideas of how long you think it takes to build one of these. It took to build this one here. A year. Okay, yeah, I like that. That's close.
I think so many McDonald's come up in the UK, so, and I know that this is actually construction, I know that this is retail.
Okay.
So,
A couple of months. Okay, awesome. Who else?
I would say, I don't know, but I would say the moment that it becomes ready, you don't have to struggle with government or permits, or just a building phase, a month.
A month. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Cool, great stuff. Would a month be good in terms of time? Do we think a month would be good? How do we get all that thing sorted? Yeah? I don't know about Ghana once again. I can't speak much about Ghana.
I mean, Barclays is something like this, and when they had it all standardized,
Yep.
they were running these things out in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Because they had everything ready. Just
Great stuff.
Yeah, fix it together.
So how about I told you that the answer is actually there? It's a 24-hour, and it took them 24 hours. If you don't believe me, go into YouTube, type it in, you'll see it. Yes, like you said, right? Pre-constructed modular design.
we're talking about Ivy League universities, and ask them, what do you think our business is? And they're like, right, so they're like, no, people say, our plan is to have McDonald's in every block between the states as much as possible. So they own the land,
Yep.
and then they get managed people to franchise.
Yep.
So their business, so like when you open McDonald's, you've got no choice of what you're putting together. It's like a run-of-the-mill factory. But you as one person could own 50 McDonald's or one McDonald's, but McDonald's still owns you.
Yeah, correct.
And they own the land, you have to pay them rent, all those things.
Tesco's is like that as well.
Exactly.
Right, Tesco's is like that. You might find that Walmart is similar to that. What they do is they really own the land, and this is just when the time is ready, they can sell the asset. Okay? But this was done in 24 hours. Fully functional, up and running. Here's another one in China. Okay? 30-story hotel, fully kitted out. How long do you think it took them to build this? 30. I like the way you're thinking. You're very good. Very close. How long? How long do you think? Huh?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, I like that. What else? Very ambitious, but I like it. Huh? A week. Hey, guys. You must have used Babalawo for that. 6 months. The answer is actually 15 days.
What? 15 days.
15 days. If you go on YouTube once again and put it in, you'll see them doing the same thing once again, right? 15 days. 15. The way they do it is prefabs, right? And they can actually, they can do it. They build it up like that, like puzzles. Get it constructed and up. You're talking about 15 days. Okay? Yes. Okay. So, thank you. Thank you. The man here.
I think that if you're going to do a project like this, you put together an agile team. You recognize that that would be an issue. You start your publicity in advance. You tell them that you blow it up in the media before you get put out that building. They'll be buying it out.
Can I? I'm going to say something again, right? I am an African who lives in the diaspora, and one of the things that I hate seeing time and time again is the way that Africa is represented by the media around the world, okay? when I travel around the world and I sit down and share stories with people, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Nigerians like that. That's not what we see. We don't hear that, right? I even have friends who are from the Caribbean. They're like, oh no, I don't want to go to Africa. If I get off the plane, lion will bite me. I said, what kind of nonsense are you talking about? And I have to show them pictures of cities and they're like, wow, oh, I want to go there, I never know, right? So that's one thing. I think we've got to be mindful about the things that we also say about ourselves, right? Okay, change. We know that we want to change. Yes, there are going to be some people who won't get it. Like my learned friend said, we've got to start thinking in terms of how do we educate people. When we make statements like, oh, well, in Ghana, they will not take it, it just makes us sound like we're kind of in the Stone Age, which is not the case. Okay? So we've got to be asking ourselves, how do we create this change? How do we make it comfortable for people? How do we put it within the cultural context of understanding the culture that we operate in? We're not saying let's not lose our cultural reference point, but how do we use that to create the change that we want? Or the other option is, well, this is the way we are and we won't do nothing. Then watch the Chinese and the European come in and do their stuff and then take everything out again. And then let's not complain. That's what I'm saying. And it starts with people like us in the room. If we're the educated people and the learned who are coming to get knowledge and we're still thinking like that, how are we going to go out and make change in the world? So just think of it from that point of view. I appreciate there's constraints, but there's constraints with everything. Right? Guys, can I keep you guys? My learned friend, can we? Thank you. So, here's a highway, right? In Japan, during the earthquake of, was it 2012, 2013? This is what it looked like after they had 6 hours. I always get this one. I like it when you guys are thinking about possibilities. 6 hours I'm hearing, 5 minutes. Go. Fix it. Great stuff. 6 days. 6 days. So what I would say is, like I said, you know, I know that in Nigeria we have a lot of problems with our road, right? And it's not money, because how many contracts have they put out to fix the road? And up to now there's nothing fixed, right? You might see a couple of equipment by the side, but there's no road, okay? Each government, they're paying more money to fix a road that doesn't exist, right? We have a housing problem. So some of the things you need to start thinking about is, based on what we've looked at right here, how can that be transferred into Ghana so that we can build more housing? Even if it's social housing for the people not so well off, right? So we're providing them with some basis of living, right? And living healthily, okay? Roads, they can do it in 6 days. Well, what's stopping us from being able to do it? Even if it took us a month, I'll be happy in Nigeria, because some of those roads they've been building for 10 years. Up to now, there's no road. There's no road. Yeah? If they come and tell me, we'll do it for you in 2 months, I'll be like, thank you. Yeah? But what I'm saying to you once again is people are doing this. It's possible, right? So we need to start thinking about doing that too. And then finally, I want to leave you with personalized Agile. This is me when I got married 2 years ago. That's my son, he's 5 now. That's my middle son, he's going to be 3 in January. And my youngest son is 18 months. God has blessed me, I'm very grateful. This wedding was planned, going back to your thing about technology, was planned using Agile. Using principles. Using the Kanban board where we listed all the priorities. My wife was the product owner. She allowed me to say I'm the product owner, but she was the product owner, okay? Right? And my wife wanted lots of things, so we had to have some discussions around priorities. Babes, that one can't work, I beg. Let's do this one. Some negotiation as well, right? What was it? Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Babes, that one is too expensive. How about we do this one? It's nearly the same, but it's not the same, but nobody will know the difference. So let's do this one. Yeah? This one is better. And that one, that one we have to, right? So we use that to prioritize it and to manage the whole setting up of our wedding. Okay? I use a personalized Kanban to manage all the projects that I'm working on, all the stuff that I need to deliver on a day-to-day basis. There's people using personalized agility, personalized Kanbans, and different agile methodologies and frameworks to build houses, to build, do renovations. As you've heard, it's been used in hospitals. Also in the UK, a lot of the hospitals are now moving towards working in a more agile way, working in a more lean way. Would that be of benefit to Ghana at all in the healthcare system? Is health important to a nation? So these are just some of the things that I want you guys to start thinking about Right? Start taking everything that you're learning here and just say to yourself, how can I apply this? How can I utilize this? How can I take these core principles and apply them outside of what I do in the organization? How can we start utilizing this, within government, within healthcare, within housing, within education, to actually build up a nation, to build up our people, our young people, and to leave a legacy. Leave a legacy that's really worthwhile, something that we can look back on and be proud of, so that when we're older and the youngsters have it a bit better, but they're still complaining and say, you don't know anything. We saw what we had to go through to provide you with something. Yeah? All right? Nowadays it's funny, the things that we complain about, when you think about what our parents went through. Yeah? Which one are we complaining about? We don't have the latest fashion, we don't have a car to go somewhere. Our iPhone is not getting reception. No reception. These are our problems. We've got to do something that, we can leave something that we're proud about. Here's my contact details. You guys can catch me on any of these outlets. Feel free to ask any questions. And until they chase us out, I think we've got about 5 more minutes left. So are there any questions and things that you guys, yes?
We have your thing that was picked up 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Would it mean they needed more workers? They need more workers to get it done in 15 days, or they're still going to use that same number if it were in Ghana, which would take maybe 3 years?
Because I don't know what they started off with to know what they ended up with, okay? It could be a case of that you end up with the same people. But it's a case of how do you structure your teams. So ideally, typically what happens is we might have people like if you're building a house, you might have your, the roofer guys, you might have everybody working separately. But one of the things is if you can create cross-functional teams of people who can work with different skills closer together, then you're going to get a faster delivery, whatever, right? Now, like I said, it might mean you need the same amount of people. On a lot of projects that we work on, we can actually significantly cut the number of people down to a small percentage of what they started off to deliver quickly, because when you have smaller amount of people, it's easier to communicate and collaborate and work together. So one of the core principles about Agile is communication and collaboration. So I'd say whatever your team size is, always make sure that it is optimal to your collaboration and communication. Yeah? Okay.
Back there in Nigeria, yeah, that's anyway, okay, back there in Nigeria, most of the software that I developed, I do them alone.
Okay.
From the database and the design, everything alone. So because from the example you've given us, like the plane, the car, different structures are built from different parts of the world and they are assembled together. But here is the case that I do everything alone. So how do I break it into bit by bit and make it faster? Yeah, because on a week, sometimes the software might take me a month. So how do I break it bit by bit? And it is just me and me alone.
Remember, the key thing is how can you break down something big into something small so you can deliver it faster to market? So if it's just you, fine, but then look at your work structure and see how you can break it down into smaller and deliver smaller increments of value to market quicker. That's really what's going to have to be the focus for you on that one. I'll take 2 more quickly as they're opening up, yeah, and then... Yes.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm Michael.
Yes.
We have this settings or mentality that if you are not from this golden family or rich family, there is no room for invention for you.
Okay.
Because as your dream comes out, it dies.
Okay.
Now we are hearing about agility now.
Okay.
I'm coming into the industry with a new plan, a new way of breaking into team to work things out. How would it survive this corrupt nature we have now? Because everybody's talking about change, but we are saying corruption, not changing. If a president can say bribery is not corruption, and you're teaching us to become efficient and at the same time effective, how do we manage it?
Once again, well, it lives in Nigeria, it's a corrupt society. If you build something, it get broken down. So therefore, how do you create change in an environment which is corrupt and everything else? Is that about consolidated? Who wants to take the answer to that?
There are many Nigerians who want the same. The majority who really want this change to happen can make sure it happens in terms of systems, in terms of making sure that this kind of corruption doesn't continue. It's the same for Ghana. So as long as we think that we cannot do it, we make no effort. But as soon as we begin to say, no, we must do something about it, you find people who are like-minded, you collaborate with them, put in place the systems, and then get better results. The same kind of agile groups thinking through what can we do to close that hole and make that impossible to happen is what will get us there.
That's innovation and creativity, and once again, I've said it so many times, it's the mindset. If you start with the mindset of being defeated, you're already defeated. That's the reality around it. So you've got to think beyond that. And like I'd say, with technology, even if you take it back into technology, that goes beyond the borders of Nigeria. So there's people who live in Nigeria, who live in Kenya, who live in places who are making a lot of money internationally. The opportunity is there, it's whether you want to take it. And you've got to step into that mindset. Last question.
For a construction company and distribution. I was working for a construction company.
Yes.
So my question is that, depending on some of the examples you have shown us,
Yes.
those use short time to build, construct,
Yep.
hotel and other things. My question is that those materials they use, do you have them in Africa? Or we have to go outside and get it?
Do we have cement in Africa?
Some of the materials.
Do we have cement in Africa? Some of them.
Because there was a site that trade 2 weeks or in 3 days. I've seen that myself about 5 or so years back. There was a site at trade fair. Yes.
So they have the things.
They had, yes.
to build it.
Yes.
Then after that, they'll give it to the laborers to bring it out.
Prefabricated.
It's prefabrication. It's plug and play.
Prefab, be all kinds of materials.
So, okay.